Hey YouTube, KD2ETP here, and today I want to talk about random wires. And there's a lot of videos out there and people talking about random wires, and I don't think people really know what a random wire is. So a random wire is exactly what the name implies. So that's pretty much taking a length of wire unknown to you, the length, and throwing it up in a tree and maybe putting it on some binding posts, a BNC to banana jack binding post, something like that, and tuning it up and getting on the air. So what I found on a lot of people when they claim they're using random wire antennas is what they're using are endfed antennas. And so, which is fine if the length of wire is truly random, but if you're cutting a wire to length, then it is not a random wire anymore. It is a actual cut real antenna. Under that logic, that if you just because it's an endfed and you cut a specific length of wire to make it resonant on the bands you want, that means that any wire antenna that you make is a random wire, and that's just not the case. So I'm not sure why this is going on in the radio world. I'm not sure why people are always claiming that oh, I got an endfed and a 9-to-1 unin or whatever, and I put 59 feet of wire on there. Well, it's not random. If you know the length of wire that you're cutting, then it's no longer a random wire antenna. The idea of random wire antenna is taking a spool of wire that you don't know the length of, again, and spooling it out, putting it on your radio, and seeing what bands you can tune on that. The first antenna, HF antenna I ever made, was actually a true random wire. I was in an office trailer at the time. Sorry. And I had going out, I had my KX3 actually, and going out of the window of the office trailer, up over the trailer, I strung a wire up into a tree up over my office trailer. Now, I don't know what length of wire it actually was. I just pulled the wire all the way up to the top of a tree, and I made it long enough to reach the radio on one side of the binding post, the BNC to binding post, and hooked it up there. And then I took another wire, another random length of wire, ran it across the floor of the trailer, a true random length of wire. It wasn't measured or anything. I just took the wire, ran it across the office trailer floor, and hooked it to the other binding post. Now that right there is a true random wire antenna, where I had no idea what the lengths were of either one. I just took random lengths of wire and hooked them up and tuned them up. And yes, I didn't get all the bands, but I was able to tune it on most of them. And that's kind of the fun of a random wire. But if you're, again, if you're cutting a wire to length, to a specific length, it is no longer a random wire. So I wish people would just stop saying that they're using random wire antennas if they're not using random wire antennas, because I don't know, it's just one thing that really gets me. And like I said, under that logic, any wire that's cut for an antenna, or any antenna that uses a wire, is a random wire under that logic, and that is just not the case. So this is was a quick video I wanted to put out there, because I just happened to watch a video where a guy mentioned that he was using a random wire, and I won't mention anything about it, but and it turns out it was an endfed half wave. So stop using that term if you're not using a real random wire. If you are, then that makes sense. But if you're measuring a length of wire and cutting it to length, you're using a measured antenna. It is not a random wire. KD2 ETP, I'll say 73.